Hi everybody, in this video I'm walking you through how to do active shoulder bridges. You might know these as being called glute bridges, and they're probably an exercise that you've done before. The Egoscue method teach these a bit differently to most other modalities. So what the Egoscue method really want us to focus on in this exercise are our arms and our shoulders and our feet. So we will absolutely be waking up your hamstrings and glutes, just like a normal bridge, but hopefully you're actually going to feel your hamstrings and glutes more than you would do if you were doing this in the typical way. And that is because we are teaching the entire back body to fire as a unit. We are not just trying to isolate the glutes and squeeze them upwards. Hopefully that will make sense when we get going. You're going to need, in this walkthrough, I'm going to talk you through two different ways of doing this exercise. So there is active shoulder bridges with a block or a pillow, and there is active shoulder bridges with a strap. I'm actually using a fabric resistance band, but this could be a yoga strap as well. So I'm going to show you two different ways. They are two different exercises. They do something slightly different at your hips, and you might want to do both of them, or you might want to focus on one or the other if one feels more beneficial to you. So we're going to do a few minutes with the block, and then we're going to do a few minutes with the strap as well. Okay, let's get started. So to begin with, when we do the block, we'll start with that one. Depending on what size block you have, you want to choose the angle of the block where you're keeping your knees, your hips, your ankles and your toes in alignment. So if I had that wide one, it would be too wide, my knees are going off to the side. And if I had that narrow one, my knees are pinching in a bit too much. So I'm choosing that medium way around. And this goes for both exercises. As we push up into our feet, we are really making sure that our toes are not spinning out to the side. So we're making sure that we've got our parallel foot alignment, toes, ankles, knees, and hips in alignment, and we are not using our big toe joints as our measure. If we use our big toe joints as our measure, our feet are still poking out to the side. So we're trying to think about that line going through the center of the shins, through the top of the foot, and through the second and third toes. That is parallel alignment. Okay, so we're coming to our backs into a hook lying position. And what we are going to do to start with is think about our arms and our shoulders. So we call this active shoulder bridges, and that's because our shoulders and our arms are going to be working. What I want you to do is, ideally, if our arms were absolutely perfect, we'd have our palms facing upwards, and we'd also have our elbow armpits facing upwards towards the ceiling. However, my body is not perfect, and I'm sure lots of your guys' bodies aren't perfect either. So rather than focusing too much on your palms, I want you to focus more on the triceps, the rear upper arms, as being grounded on the floor, and your elbow armpits, so the inner fleshy bits of your elbows, I want them facing up towards the ceiling, because what that's going to do is it's going to help to open up our chest, wake up our triceps and rear shoulders without the hands and the wrists compensating. So when you orientate your upper arm into the correct position, you might then notice that the palm of your hand faces more down towards your legs. So don't worry about that. I don't want the palms facing upwards if that means that your elbow armpits point behind you. I want the elbow armpits facing up to the ceiling, even if that means that the palms of the hands are sort of moving away from you. My arms are at 45 degrees. I'm pulling my shoulders behind me and really down away from my ears. And as I do that, I'm watching that I'm not extending my neck upwards into hyperextension. So I'm keeping the back of my neck long. And from here, what we are going to do is push our shoulder blades and our upper arms down into the floor. So we are activating our triceps, our trapezius, our lats, some of our rotator cuff muscles. We're really waking up our kind of shoulder area, upper arm area, upper back and mid back area. So we are firing this posterior chain. Posterior means behind. So your upper back, your lower back, your glutes, your hamstrings, your calves, and your feet are all part of this posterior chain. And in these exercises, we are going to wake up that entire posterior chain. So it's not just about the glutes, it's about everything. So keep that drive downwards with the arms and with the shoulders. But as you drive the arms downwards, it's not the same as the rib cage lifting upwards. So your rib cage stays grounded, and that's going to get you waking up your arms and your shoulders rather than compensating with your spine. Sorry, I'm having a nightmare with my, I might have to clip it on me, but sorry if it gets very loud. So we're keeping our arms and our shoulders nice and firm. The next thing that we're going to think about is toes, ankles, knees, and hips. And you know what I'm going to do, I suspect, but we're going to be pushing into our feet and lifting our glutes up off the floor. But like I said at the beginning, I don't want you thinking about your glutes. So typically, what people are instructed and how they do it is their brain goes first to their glutes, they squeeze their glutes, and they lift the glutes up. So they're kind of pushing upwards from this region. But by doing that, you're not waking up your calves, you're not waking up your hamstrings, and you're not waking up your shoulders and arms. So we can get so much more action if we think about our shoulders and our arms and our feet, and the glutes will wake up in the middle of that chain, if that makes sense. So the way that your glutes work in real life is due to their connection to your feet. Your glutes do not work in isolation. When the human body is in motion, you're not squeezing your glutes to get them firing. They should fire if the feet are functional and if the feet can communicate with the hips efficiently. So this is a really good exercise for re-educating a body that has maybe lost that connection. So we're pushing down into the arms and the shoulders. We're keeping the back of the neck long, so we're really making sure we're not hyperextending the neck, really waking up that upper and mid back. Toes, ankles, knees, and hips are in alignment. So you're going to spread your toes nice and wide, which doesn't mean move them wider than the ankles, but it means create space between each toe. You've got the block in between your knees that you're going to squeeze, and I want you to push down into the tops of your feet, then into your heels. You're going to feel how that kind of wakes up your calves, and really be thinking feet, ankles, knees, pelvis, and then you go as high as you can. So you're really trying not to rush at the top. You're really trying to get as much opening through the front of the hips as you can. You're not going so high that you hurt your lower back. You're not going so high that you lose that work through the arms and through the shoulders. And you're not going so high that your neck starts tilting backwards. So the feet are driving upwards. And as we push down into the feet to push the pelvis upwards, you'll feel how it activates your calves, your hamstrings, and your glutes. And then you slowly come back down to the floor like so. Switch off everything in between, but then before you start the next rep, you're going to push those arms and shoulders back again, push down into your feet, squeeze the block in between your knees to stop your knees from losing alignment. And you're trying to go as high as you can, but you're really trying to lead. Oh, I'm getting a cramp in my left calf, which is a good thing. You're really trying to lead from the lower, oh, I keep cramping. You're really trying to lead from the feet upwards. So it's not the pelvis shooting up. It's not the rib cage shooting up. The feet push, and it comes from the bottom bit by bit. And that's how you're going to achieve hip extension rather than lumbar hyperextension, which is going to look a bit like this. Okay? So we're going to do 1.5 minutes of these, and then we'll swap to the strap. The strap isn't really any different. It's just what you're doing at your knees is different. So with this one, having the block in between your knees, it's waking up your adductors to create pelvic balance, to lift your pelvis higher. And then with the strap, it's waking up your kind of outer hips to change the pelvic demand a little bit. Lock those arms in, back of neck long. We're going to do 1.5 minutes here. Off we go. So we push into our feet. We feel the feet grounding, pushing upwards with the knees, the hips, the pelvis, the back of the neck stays long, the hands and the arms stay, the shoulders and the arms stay active, and we bring ourselves back down. Relax. Push down with the arms, the shoulders, Push into the tops of the feet, the bottoms of the feet, lifting, feel those calves working. Squeeze the block in between your knees, trying to go as high as you can, but really thinking about the feet, the ankles, the knees, the hips, and the pelvis in that order the entire time. The arms and the shoulders are working, except when you take that little break in between reps. The back of the neck stays long. Push into those feet. So we are waking up the entire posterior chain of your body here, not just the glutes, but we've got the calves, the hamstrings, the glutes, spinal erectors, and those upper and mid back muscles, like I said, and your triceps. So we're turning this into a whole body exercise. Oh, got another cramp. If you get a cramp, shake it off, but come back to it as soon as you can. 3, 2, and 1. So just know that when you're doing your posture exercises and you get cramp, it's your body telling you that you're waking up a muscle or muscles that you don't normally wake up. So cramp is a really good thing. It's a sign that you've accessed dysfunction and that you're switching things on and making them more functional. Don't want you fighting through cramp, but I want you to give it a rest and come straight back into it. Because the more you do it, the less cramp you'll have, the stronger your body will get, and the more your posture will change. So I've got my fabric resistance band around my knees, and depending on what you've got, you might have a belt, you might have a yoga strap, whatever it is that you're using, you want to make sure that you get it set up so that your knees can't go wider than your ankle, your hips, or they're not too narrow. So like the block before was keeping things in alignment, that's what the strap is doing. So I want your kneecaps tracking in alignment with your hips, which is more narrow than most people think. Toes, ankles, knees, and hips in alignment, so the toes aren't off to the side, and everything else is the same. It's just that this time we're not pushing into the block, we're squeezing out against the strap. So we're gonna feel more the outside edges of our hips wake up here. Hands are rigid, but we're thinking about the elbow armpits facing up to the ceiling rather than the palms. We're gonna push down through the upper arms and through the shoulders here. Back of the neck stays long. As ever, we breathe in and out of our nose and into our diaphragm. We never hold our breath. Spread those toes wide. Push into the tops of your feet, the bottoms of your feet. Use that push in the feet to create the lift, thinking about the shins moving next, then the knees, then the thighs, then the pelvis, then the spine. You're going as high as you can, really pushing into your feet so you feel the backs of your legs. It's gonna feel like everything's firing. It won't feel like it's your lower back if you're doing it correctly. Holding and coming back down. And remember that whole time, your arms and your shoulders are working hard to push backwards, but do rest in between reps. 1.5 minutes here, off we go. Keep squeezing out against the strap. And as you do both of these, if you're kind of trialing them both with me, make a mental note of which one feels better for you. So you'll probably find that one feels a bit more effective, and that just kind of tells you something about what ranges of movement your body wants, and do the one that feels more effective more often. But if they both feel effective, you can absolutely do both of them as individual exercises. We're pushing into the tops of the feet, the bottoms of the feet, driving those calves up. You can give the glutes a bit of a squeeze at the top, but I don't want you squeezing the glutes to take them upwards. I want you to be pushing into your feet to wake up the back of your legs to move the pelvis upwards. And it's only at the very top here that I give my glutes a squeeze. Remember, it's active shoulder bridges, so we're keeping those arms and those shoulders on fire without tilting the head forwards and backwards. You've got 15 seconds left here. Doing things nice and slowly. As ever, we are going for form. We are going for function. We are not going for speed and momentum, because it is speed and momentum that will keep us trapped in our old movement patterns, whereas we are trying to educate our bodies to move differently as we do our posture exercises. It's about rewiring habits that have become entrenched over probably quite a long period of time. So that was active shoulder bridges. I hope you enjoyed. Hope your glutes, your hamstrings and your calves and your shoulders are burning, and I'll see you again soon.